All right, hi guys. Welcome back. This is another Pop Tournaments, Questos, and Recos episode. A little different than our regular Pop Tournaments podcast. Here, to kind of just talk about a few other things instead of the tournament that's going on. Our 80s and 90s one-hit wonders going on right now. Hope you guys are enjoying that. We're just getting into the second round. But today, we're here to go over the question that we've had on the Facebook page and give you some recommendations. It's August 31st, 2020. Significant date. I want to give a big shout out. Happy birthday, Judy Barrett.
Yay!
Woohoo!
Happy birthday, Judy.
Happy birthday to you. And it was actually yesterday, 1952.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday indeed. Hope it was everything it could be. Ryan, what else has been going on in your world?
Oh, let's see. I've been watching a lot of movies.
Always good.
Well, yeah. We'll get into some of that later. I've been kind of boning up for our October tournament, which will deal with scary movies. And so I've been watching a lot of horror movies. I'm like halfway through this movie called Society right now from 1989, which is so good. I cannot wait to finish it. It's been like one of my favorite, old horror movie watches in a while. But I also started rewatching for the first time Seinfeld season 1, episode 1.
Wow.
Well, my wife Rebecca and our co-host Jenny Schmidt were away on girls' cabin weekend. I was sitting around doing some computer work, and I said, you know what? This sounds like a good time for me to sit around and watch some Seinfeld.
I think you were also supposed to be watching the show The Great on Hulu.
I did give my word on that, so I do need to do that. Yep.
It is fantastic, and you'll love it, I promise.
Yeah.
I will definitely do that.
Jenny, it sounds like you had you were off on a fun weekend.
I did, yeah, we did. So my girlfriends and we've been doing a cabin weekend like every summer for 15 years now, I think. So it was definitely a little bit different this year. But we rented a place that had a great outside deck, so we were just outside, spread out, enjoying the beautiful views and just hanging out. It was really nice. So out in nature, always good.
Yeah.
I like it for about, 4 days a year. I like to be out in nature and roughing it a little bit. And then I'm good.
Then
back
locked
to being
inside.
An indoor kid.
Yes, exactly.
No, it really was an absolutely beautiful weekend. We got really lucky these last couple of weeks. I hope
We have been.
hope everybody's been enjoying it. I didn't do much. I mowed the lawn. Oh, I had my family over for a previous reco for some El Camino Taco Deli tacos.
Nice.
Had family in from out of town, and they were super impressed. So that was fun. Yeah. Otherwise, just trying to take it easy. Trying to take in as much good as you can right now, because that's what we got to do. Speaking of. We've kind of put that question out there, It's been a weird year. And
Yes.
what we asked everybody, what song, because we're in the middle of this One Hit Wonders tournament, what song would you use to describe the year 2020? And, before we get to some of the answers, Jenny, you had a really good answer, right, to start out right away, but I'd like to hear what you have to say about that.
Oh, yeah, so I chose Help from the Beatles. Because it's an ironic time. Like, I need people, but I can't be by people. So, and the line especially that's like stuck with me was my independence vanished in a haze. And as someone who's rarely been more than like 15 feet away from my 7-year-old, it's like, oh man, yep. So, I mean, now we, go outside a little bit more than we did in March and April. But yeah, that's kind of my independence is what's like was really like stuck out with me with what has happened. So, yeah.
Great answer.
Ryan, where did you go with this one?
I had a little bit more esoteric approach. I said "Achy Breaky Heart" on repeat.
Yeah.
And it was kind of in reference to the Waco standoff with the ATF and David Koresh and the people of the Branch Davidians.
Mm-hmm.
The ATF used "Achy Breaky Heart" on repeat as like a torture tactic to like try to break them. So it seemed kind of appropriate for as like, because this is kind of, we're all being pushed to our limits right now. And it seems like, every day there's more and more just kind of crushing down on us. So, but despite all that, there's, I think there's enough, I think people are showing their, generosity and their kind human spirit, and there's enough good to keep us fighting through. So
yeah, I actually Jenny, I have to thank you for this question, because while I gave multiple answers, the thing that I liked the most is I ended up discovering a new song from a band that I had heard of before, but had never really gotten into. And the song is called "This Year" by the Mountain Goats. And the hook in it is, "I'm going to make it through this year if it kills me." And I think, at least for me, that's something that really, struck it inside with me, is that, no matter what comes, I'm going to push forward. I'm not going to let any of this bullshit get me down, and I'm going to be the things I believe in. So, again, I have to thank you for that. That was a fun discovery that I got to have there.
That's awesome.
Some of the, bigger responses we had from the fans out there. I thought a really fun answer here from Jackie S. Said, "Don't stand so close to me," from the Police. They sing that when they're at the grocery store and don't see people social distancing. I think that's a fun one. Could we all just start humming that as we walk through the grocery store?
Yeah.
Is that a proper way to tell people?
Yeah. I think any Police song would work. Every Breath You Take might like creep people out enough to get them to scooch out of the way.
Is the final line of that hook going to be, "I'm infecting you"? Every breath you take, I'm infecting you. See, we don't have to pay for that. That's parody.
Under the fair use umbrella.
Don't worry, VH1.
We got you. We've been listening.
Another thing we don't have to pay for, Jack T with "Screaming into the Void" for 5 minutes, or 4 minutes of screaming into the void. I got to quote him.
I think that's an original composition.
Yeah.
You can download that soon from our website. Just $19.99 per download. And then we had Kai S. "All by Myself," and I think that's something we can all relate to.
Great song.
A much more appropriate way to go, as opposed to a song that was just in our tournament. You could have said "I Touch Myself." That could have been an answer to this.
Yep. I'll make it through this year if it kills me.
Yep.
You'll make it through this podcast.
Any way I can. Yeah.
What were some of the answers that stood out to you guys?
I really liked Sydney's answer of "Toxic" by Britney Spears. First of all, it fits the topic perfectly, and it's also just such a great song. Freaking love "Toxic" anytime I hear it, and I hear it a lot because my 7-year-old is very into Britney Spears. Um, it's a good one, and it's just right. So I
Hey,
like
don't
that
worry.
one.
If things keep going the way they've been going, give it 10, 12 years, she'll probably be our Secretary of State. You'll get a
Yeah.
lot of Britney Spears.
Yep. I'm a big Britney fan. And then I also really liked Christopher G's answer, and he did the Sanford and Son theme song, which is one of the best
Oh,
TV
yeah.
theme songs.
Number one seed.
Like there is. Yes. So, and I hope we do that tournament fairly soon, a TV theme songs tournament. But I'm going to read his whole like reasoning why, because I think it was the best of all the answers. He had
Yes,
so
yes.
much thought into it. So he said, referencing garbage during a garbage year, song composed by Quincy Jones. Black men starred in a show, probably need more female representation. Yeah, I know, but it was a while ago. Plus, it's called The Street Beater, and I feel like this tune checks a lot of boxes. So, yeah, I feel like it's really getting 2020 as a whole, like, coming from different directions. And plus, it's just fantastic. So, thank you,
Absolutely.
Christopher G.
Absolutely.
That's one of those answers. Like if this was like the extra credit question on a test, you could have failed
Yep.
the whole test and still passed by
Yeah.
answering that way
Yep.
on this extra credit question.
Yeah, if you explain your answer, then that's what I tell my students all the time.
Yeah.
Help.
I think my favorite answers, well, for one, just for the reason of like me liking the song and liking the band, I've got to give a shout out to Mary C, my homegirl from high school, and she came up with "Down with Disease" by Fish, one of my favorite bands of all time. Great song, great bass line, the great Mike Gordon. And I thought the funniest answer was one of my best friends, Liz D, said the sad trombone sound effect, which I thought was great.
Yeah.
That is so
Yep.
true.
Kind of brings me back to the Debbie Downer sketch.
Yep, absolutely.
But yeah,
And
no, there's
I have to.
as always a lot of
Go ahead.
great answers. Love all the participation. Yeah.
I apologize. I got one of it was Amanda K that had "All by Myself," and then Kai S had "You Can't Touch This" by MC Hammer.
Oh yeah, also
Oh,
great.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also great. Couple other ones that really stuck out: "Eve of Destruction" from Christina B. "Down with Disease" from Mary C. From Fish. Always good to throw a nice Fish song in there. "Float On" from Modest Mouse. We will all float on. That is for sure. We're gonna get through this. Great answers. Again, like Ryan and Jenny said, we really appreciate the participation. But again, we have a lot of time on our hands for a lot of us, and this is a pop culture podcast. Ryan, what you been getting into? Any movies? Any music?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to mention for my official reco is a little movie I watched last night, which I had heard of under a previous title. It's one of those weird movies that came out in like this festival circuit. I don't know if it was last year or like earlier this year. It was called Boys in the Wood.
Haven't heard of it.
Sounds
And
familiar.
it was getting a ton of love. It was like one of the few movies that I had heard a lot of rumblings about. It's British, I believe. It's definitely from the UK. but it ended up being released here in the States under a new title called Get Duked, like Duked, exclamation point. And I do not agree with that choice. That is one of the
Nothing
worst
to do
movie
with
titles I've ever heard. Once you see it, it makes sense. Like, it totally it fits the movie. But without seeing the movie, you're like, get ducked. What does that mean? Like, I don't. What does get? Even if you know it mean, even if you know get duked, it's like, what does duked mean?
Yeah.
But anyway, hilarious movie. Really, really like the acting's great. The storyline's great. It kind of reminded me of Hunt for the Wilder People.
Oh,
If you guys
yes.
have seen that, it's kind of it's just kind of a really baseline summary of the movie. It's about these three kids who are just like total voidoids, like fuck ups, who are, they're like stoners and criminals. They're all like 17, 18 years old, and they, for reasons of like probation and stuff like that, they have to fulfill this duty of going to this like Boy Scout sort of thing where they have to like spend a weekend traveling through the wilderness to earn this like certificate. It's like a kind of a strange concept, but they get paired up with another kid who's like doing it because he really loves to do this kind of stuff. So it's these four young boys, or teenage boys, and they set out on this conquest and find out that there's some people out in the wild who are hunting them.
Oh.
Uh-oh.
And that's all I'll say. But
That took a
it's
turn.
yeah, so it's really funny. I'd say, the number one genre I would put it in is like comedy, but it definitely has elements of like adventure and, suspense, maybe a little bit of horror, but definitely like it's kind of a psychedelic comedy too. There's like a stoner comedy, I guess. There's a lot of like drug references and stuff like that. So like you guys would really be into it. And there's
Because my favorite kind of comedy is reference comedy.
yeah, it's got great great soundtrack. It's like all hip hop soundtrack, so it's like Danny Brown and Run the Jewels and God, I can't remember who else, but it's got a really cool soundtrack, and yeah, these characters are all just hilarious. It's got really cool visual elements. It kind of, it reminded me of something like Zombieland, where it had like a really interesting visual language that you see right from the beginning. You're like, okay, I see what you're doing here. Like they're using different visual effects to tell the story that makes it surreal but fun. So yeah, get duked. Really, really fun, really funny, easy watch. Highly recommend. Definitely, like, I had to, after about 15 minutes, I said, can we flip the subtitles on? Because it's going to like a lot of really heavy brogue and blah blah. I was trying to do like Irish.
That was terrible.
Yeah, sorry. But like it was really hard to understand. Like it's very like country accents, but yeah, very good.
If you put the subtitles on, all movies have really good visual language. So you kind of
Wow, that's deep.
You kind of
That sounded like that could be like a Jack Handy Deep Thoughts.
Yeah.
Jack Handy's got nothing on me. You could, I got a weird, well, not weird recommendation, but it's not twofold. I've been watching a lot of the Umbrella Academy. Season 2 came out. Mm-hmm. I'm catching up on that. I never watched the first season, and now I'm already into the second season. And it was so very interesting. The episode I was watching, my actual recommendation came up. I am recommending a band called the Dead South. They are from Canada, our friends to the north. It's a folk bluegrass outfit, and specifically the song "In Hell, I'll Be in Good Company." It fantastic bluegrass band. A lot of great songs, but as Jenny, I know you love a great video.
I do.
This one has a really, really great video. And
awesome. I'll check it out.
You don't see a lot of not everybody puts effort into their videos these days.
Not anymore.
So it was really fun to see that. And then, like I said, when I was watching the Umbrella Academy and all of a sudden that song came up. So maybe some of you have already gone out and checked out the Dead South, if you're a fan of that show. But if you haven't, give them a listen. I'll post the YouTube link to that song.
Yeah, we'll post all our links to this stuff
on that. So, that's my first recommendation. I know it's been so if we haven't said it before, Jenny is a superhero and it was her first day back at school today. So, but I know she's got an art recommendation for us.
I do. Yeah. I was like, I've been busy this week. I don't have any recommendations. But then before we started recording, Ryan was talking about this Black Lives Matter poster that I have behind me in my office. So if you're watching this, like the video, you can see it. If you're not, sorry, folks at home. But I'm going to grab it and show you.
Paint us a picture.
And I absolutely recommend this artist. So she's one of my Facebook friends. I'm that cool. But her website is Wild Frontier Design. That's wild spelled W-Y-L-D. Frontier spelled like frontier. And design spelled like design. So it's a really, she's got so much awesome stuff. She has a lot of kind of like, I don't know if they're poured paints or acrylics or kind of watercolory, but she has a lot of those, but she also has a lot of pop culture prints as well. So over on my wall right over here, I also have a Friday Night Lights poster. That's the first one that I had bought from her. Yep. Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose.
Gotcha.
Yep.
I was thinking maybe it was just like a Riggins portrait or something like that.
Nah, I'm more of a Saracen girl,
nice.
If anything.
Nice. I should have known.
Yep. But anyways, I love this Black Lives Matter one. She has some other, I know she's got some Doctor Who, some different music prints. There's a great Fiona Apple one on there that I've been wanting. So check out Tracy at Wild Frontier Designs, and I'll post the link in the comments.
And while you're checking that out, buy Jennifer that Fiona Apple print.
Please. I love Extraordinary Machine.
Why
and
not?
Please buy that to me and send it to me.
Because Jennifer's awesome.
That's it. That's really funny. So Wild Frontiers with an S at the end?
Frontier. No
Frontier.
S.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great recommendation. It's really cool getting out and supporting like local independent people.
Artists.
Like, small businesses are... it's always important to support and whatever, but these like independent artists who are like literally just one person, trying to support their dream or their passion. It's really cool to get out and give them your money and get cool stuff that you can
and
hang
get
on your
awesome
walls.
stuff that. Yeah, and look at and feel good. And they're conversation pieces if the CDC ever lets you have people back in your house.
Yeah. Otherwise, for Zoom.
Yeah. No,
for Zoom. For your Zoom meetings. Decorate your Zoom background.
Yeah. quit putting sneakers in the background of your Zoom meetings.
Wait, that sounds like shots fired my way.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I know Ryan's a sneaker collector. I was teasing him.
I just wore my latest sneakers today. They've been in the box for about 3 weeks maybe, and I just took them out of the house for a spin today for the first time. Jordan 1s, like a nice. Recent update on the shattered backboard color scheme. But yeah, very cool. Like orange, black, and white. Pretty sweet.
I'm just wondering if the sneaker game is going to turn into like the wine game, where there's going to be this whole class of people that think they can just walk into, Total Wine and buy a $5 bottle, and I'm going to keep this for 20 years.
2011 was a great vintage for Reeboks.
like it's not just a pair of sneakers you pick up from Kohl's. Like, I'm going to keep these in the box for a while.
This isn't a full-on recommendation, but I've got 2 movies that I watched over the weekend that I just want to mention. There's one of them, it reminded me, Jenny talking about Wild Frontier, Wild with a Y. I also watched the new Bill and Ted movie.
How is it? I've been wondering about that.
It was pretty good. It was definitely fun. And
that's all I want.
I really, the characters, Bill and Ted, I was kind of like so on, just because they're like, they're shells of themselves. It's hard to play a character that you played 30 years ago or whatever, but they should have both have daughters, and they're kind of like the proxy for like Bill and Ted. They're essentially like the new Bill and Ted sort of, and they steal the movie, I think.
Awesome. Samara Weaving is doing awesome stuff wherever she shows up. I feel like she's everywhere now, and I love her.
Yeah, and she's the one who looks like Margot Robbie, sort of, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah,
she's also in Lovecraft Country right now, and she was in Hollywood. Ryan Murphy's other show on Netflix, too.
Yeah, I recognized her from Ready or Not.
Yep, that was her first big one.
I really liked the other girl as well. I can't remember her name, but she was in a few things I have seen before. But that was very, very good information. In case you're wondering, I don't know her name. She was in some stuff I've seen before.
You just got Ready or Not stuck in my head. Sorry.
Great song.
Ready or Not. Here I come.
Bridget Lundy Payne is the other daughter, and she was in Downsizing and Bombshell. But Downsizing was one of my favorite low-key underrated movies of the last 5 years. I love that movie so much. I love Alexander Payne. Anyway,
I thought it was Bridget Lundy Payne. And by the way, Bridget Lundy Payne, smash that like button. Give us that share. Give us that retweet.
Yeah, we'll
tag you in this.
We'll tag both of them. But yeah, so soft recommend.
Do you have a real recommendation?
On
another soft.
On Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
Also, I wouldn't even soft recommend, but I also finally caught up with The King of Staten Island over the weekend. That was one of those that Rebecca was not really excited to see. She's kind of over the Judd Apatow thing, so I was like, I suppose I'd watch this, I like Pete Davidson enough, so I watched that over the weekend while she was gone, and I thought it was decent. It had some moments, but it was really long. It's like 2 hours and 2 hours and 20 minutes. And
it's very Apatowian.
It is.
His movies, yeah.
Trainwreck was the same way, which I like Trainwreck better than this by by a lot. But it's it was one of the. It's like this is a 90-minute movie.
Yeah.
Like they seem like they were just like adding extra stuff in to make it longer. But yeah, so I don't recommend King of Staten Island, but I didn't hate it either. I thought it was fine.
We're gonna have to put in parentheses. We're gonna have to put Soogies after this for suggestions from Ryan.
But
not full recos.
Not full
They're
recos,
Soogies.
but trying to find the right people to watch the right thing.
Exactly.
So if you were like, yes, I really want to spend 2.5 hours watching Pete Davidson whine, then there you go.
They do it.
Some people do.
Yeah, some people do. Get the right people to the right movies.
Somebody does say in the movie, they say, you look like an anorexic panda to Pete Davidson, which I was like, that is like perfect. Yeah. But my actual reco, I'll keep it super short. Ted Lasso.
Is the train pulling into the station?
Ted Lasso on Apple TV Plus. It's a new half-hour comedy starring Jason Sudeikis. Just a really fun, happy, easy show. There's it kind of has like Major League sort of vibes, but not as like mean-spirited. But it's that the typical sort of thing where there's an owner of a soccer team or football, as they call it over there, in England, who's kind of trying to tank the team sort of, and so she hires this guy who's like the hot new football coach in the United States, and he like American football, and he has no idea like anything about soccer. He doesn't really know the rules or anything. But she gets him to come over and take over as the coach there. And it's like a very divisive move, and the whole town kind of like hates him and hates the team and whatever. But he's just so charming and like happy and fun. It's just like a really infectious show, and I can't help but like, I think we watched like 4 episodes just like right in a row when we first started watching it, because it's just so like easy and fun and happy.
Awesome.
And, yeah.
We need that someday.
Really nice.
Out. Are all the episodes for the season out, or are they coming out weekly?
No, they're week by week. I think there's 5 out now.
Okay.
Great question.
So Ryan has been possessed by the Hulu ghost, because that's where I keep seeing those advertisements.
Yeah. It took a couple weeks, but they finally got to me.
They got to him. Oh man, that's a bummer. Well, so I kind of like Ryan. I got 2 different ends of the spectrum recommendations here. First, a movie that has been out for a while. So mine first one is not new. From 2013, a movie called Coherence. I'm recommending this for multiple reasons. One, because it's super available to everybody right now. It's on Prime, it's on Tubi, it's on Crackle, it's on Vudu. I mean, they're probably going to be dropping a DVD copy in your mailbox pretty soon. It's that available. But it's super good. It's the best way I could describe it without giving too much away is it's a mind bender movie, but it's not complicated. It's not there's not a whole super ton of science fiction or anything going on. It's just I way back in the day, I think I saw this through Redbox and recommended it to Ryan.
You did.
And just a really interesting film that really kind of deals with, how we see ourselves and who we are, what our personality really is. And a fun movie. I don't know. Again, I know, Ryan, you've seen it. Jen, have you happened to
not.
have
I
seen
don't
this?
think I've even heard of it.
It was really, really
Okay.
good. I loved it. I thought that was a great recommendation. I was really happy to hear that you were going to bring it up again, because it definitely is it's a mind fuck, but it's definitely I like the way you said it, Jake. It's not like, there are definitely some movies that are in that same sort of vein where it's just like, ugh, I do not have the energy for this kind of a movie right now. Coherence isn't
Right.
like that. It's a
good.
fun. I mean, it's like a sci-fi horror movie, so it's not like
Uh-huh.
it's no Ted Lasso, but it's fun for the genre. It's like a fun ride,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I hope everybody gets a chance to check that out. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, a show I ended up starting to watch, and again, I'm going to sound like the corporate shill here. Brand new show on Netflix, Hoops. If you are a fan of dumb animation comedy with a little bit of heart, Hoops ended up being really. I like obscene comedy. It's very fair warning. It is R-rated to the nth degree, if you will. It doesn't have as much intelligence as a BoJack Horseman, but really, really funny show. Really enjoy it. So yeah, if you need something dumb to just put on Hoops.
Awesome.
Sounds good. I've been curious.
Oh,
About that.
Yeah. Did anything else come up for you this week? Anybody? Ryan? Jen?
Not really. No, we did an outdoor viewing to introduce my 7-year-old to Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Put up the outdoor projector and watched that in the backyard last weekend. So we'll watch the new one this weekend.
How did he like it?
He loved it.
Nice.
He really liked it. So he was trying to figure out the time travel in that as compared to the time travel in Back to the Future, which he also watched this summer.
Nice.
So we're definitely like, you're 7 years old. You need the good movies, the classics,
Yeah.
the Back to the Future and Bill and Ted. So introduction to time travel, buddy.
Excellent. Be excellent. To
I think
each
I
other.
was 7 years old the first time I saw Back to the Future.
It's the right age.
I definitely remember seeing Back to the Future 2
in the
at
theater.
the $1
Yep.
at the $1 movie theaters.
Ah, Yeah.
So I definitely had seen it before then, and yeah.
yeah, I remember seeing the second and
that's
third
awesome
one in
that-
the theater, but not the first one, I think.
Right.
I have one more recommendation.
Yeah.
It's a podcast.
Ooh,
It's called Hit Parade. It's definitely geared towards music nerds. It's really, really fascinating. I love it, and it's very NPR-y in tone, but it's Chris Malamphy's the host, and it goes each week tackles a different subject, be it artist or a genre or subgenre of music, and they examine it through the lens of the Billboard Hot 100 chart, or the Billboard charts in general. So it very much fits into what we've been talking about with this last pop tournament. But the reason I really wanted to mention it, so it's been the last episode they did was on yacht rock, and it's just been like blowing my mind because I've been discovering so much. They had some guests on, and I've learned so much through them about like the strict boundaries of what actually qualifies as yacht rock and what does not, and it's very interesting. But they just announced what their next episode is going to be. It is coming out in 2 weeks, and it is One Hit Wonders.
Oh!
And to make it even better,
You're gonna be a guest.
I'm going to be a
That
guest.
would be great.
Yes.
You should be.
They
silent guest.
they they had they put up a paywall in like right around the beginning of COVID. I'd say like in mid-March or something, which sucked because I'd already listened to all the back episodes. There's probably like 40 episodes or something, because they would do a monthly episode, and then every 2 weeks in between they would do like they call them the bridge episode, where they would kind of like do trivia and kind of like a discussion about the last episode. But so I had already listened to all the back episodes before they went in the paywall, but I love the podcast so much that I paid $38 for a year of Slate Plus. It's also under the Slate podcast umbrella. So I could listen to it because I'm like, I can't picture my life without having this podcast in it. But they just announced, they said they're coming back out from behind the paywall, starting with this next episode. So, One Hit Wonders, Hit Parade.
Coming up.
Free for everyone. And so, I mean, he already talked about like the same things we kind of talked about when we started this tournament, like what qualifies as a one-hit wonder. If somebody has a second hit but then is never heard from again, is that a one-hit wonder? What if somebody has one successful album with like a couple hits but then they never have a follow-up album? What happens like he's kind of doing a teaser for the episode at the end of the last episode, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot wait. I'm going to be like counting down the days.
He sounds like Jake in the comment section.
Yeah.
A whole bunch of our matchups.
Exactly.
I can't wait till Semisonic comes up again. And you're like, this shouldn't even be here.
I thought it almost sounded like that guy, the guy from Star Trek: The Next Generation that started
Data?
that Believe It or Not show.
Oh.
Yeah, the guy that was like, I don't know. He had it was essentially like an unsolved mystery show, but it was at the end they're like, "This was false. We fooled you." But every beginning it was like, "Can a monkey really break into somebody's house and murder them?" And like that was the true one.
Yeah. That sounds great. I'll have to check it out. Was that your echo?
No, God no.
A monkey murdering people?
My reco actually is two separate YouTube videos. The first one being that guy. There's somebody who went and slowed down all of the introductions to his shows.
Oh my God, that's
by
so
50%.
Now I know who you're talking about. Yes,
and he sounds like some drunk on the street in Las Vegas.
that is so funny. We have to put that link up because that video is one of my favorite YouTube clips.
It is an all-time favorite, and soon to be a new all-time favorite. This is a legitimate reco, and it's only 20 seconds. For those of you who like the WAP video,
Who doesn't?
Amazing. And
Song
more
of the
power
summer.
to them. If
It
anybody
is.
if anybody has a problem with that song, probably turn off this podcast now. That's just an easy. I'm just kidding.
Whoever-
do whatever you want.
Whoever, when at the beginning of the year when it was like, oh, who do you think there's gonna be one artist who's gonna have the song of the spring and the song of the summer? Who would have thought Megan Thee Stallion?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
she is on fire. And Cardi
Right.
B has been for like years now, but
Yeah, a while.
So no, that is not my recommendation, but add the words Michael Scott to that song and look up I think it's like 26 seconds long. If you need a good laugh in the middle of your day, and this is a safe for work. This is not a.
It is safe?
Oh
Well,
yeah. Well,
Okay.
it's the wet and gushy version of the song.
Okay.
So
yes.
if that's safe for work,
Medium.
yes.
Yeah. And it's only again, it's 26 seconds. There's no obscene visuals, if you will. Just a good mashup that I think everybody
It
can
is
enjoy.
very, very funny. I watched it several times after Jake sent it to me.
Before we go here, we're a pop culture podcast and group, and I think it would be a complete disservice if we didn't take a second to acknowledge and talk about the tragic passing of Chadwick Boseman this past weekend. Big surprise news to pretty much everybody, and there's been a lot. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel here. There's been a lot written and a lot already said. But just wanted to take a few minutes to kind of chat amongst ourselves. I took the time over the weekend. It sucked. It was a movie I had intended to see back when it came out, and I watched Get On Up, the James Brown biopic. Fantastic, fantastic movie. I, slight criticisms. I think it kind of suffered a little bit from some disjointedness in the storytelling, but Chadwick Boseman, as we're going to kind of go through and talk about, absolutely fantastic in the movie. Really, really encapsulated the character so perfectly. I know, I think all of us have been James Brown fans for a while, and so we know a little bit about him. And yeah, it was just a perfect, when it comes to acting, just a perfect representation, and really awesome to see that and see how well he did that. Ryan, what did you go back and watch anything, or do you have a favorite movie that sticks out?
Black Panther's definitely, that's not a hot take.
It's amazing.
But that movie is so good, and it was just so important to so many people. I remember, when it came out, like, people renting out theaters all over the country so they could bring kids in to watch it, because it was the first time, people have seen anything like that before. That kind of
that
representation.
Was a big thing.
And it's not like, it was a black movie that was meant for the world. It was a world movie that was filled with black people, which was like incredible. And it was just really a phenomenal achievement in filmmaking, and say what you will about the movie, whether you're a fan or not, like, it was absolutely groundbreaking. And
but what I'll say about that movie, I don't care if people want to knock it. That's the Marvel movie I've watched most since Disney Plus started. Since we got Disney Plus, I've probably watched Black Panther more than any other Marvel movie. I say it's fantastic. I 100% agree with you.
We talk as English teachers as, like, the kids need window texts and mirror texts. So a mirror text is when you read something and you see yourself kind of reflected back in it. And that's when that Black Panther is so important, to kids growing up that haven't seen themselves reflected in superheroes in big movies. So important. And then people also need window text where you're, like, looking in and seeing someone else's culture and how important that is. And it's like, I felt it was so important for my little guy to like see, like, all these strong, amazing actors and culture represented on there that he hadn't seen either. So it's so important to, like, all people like this movie. So it is, heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But
it's there was one thing I heard. I'm echoing a line I heard Paul Rudd say, but I thought it was such a great sentiment, and rang so true for me. He said, for somebody to play Jackie Robinson, James Brown,
42 is a great movie too,
and Thurgood Marshall, like, to play all these heroes, you can't do that without having a little bit of that inside you yourself.
Aww.
Right.
And, like, I think that's absolutely true. And I think that it's unfortunate that this had to happen, obviously, but I think that he's gonna go down as, like, a legend, and it's unfortunate that a lot of times it takes death for people to put others in that context, but Black Panther alone puts him in another league, but these other performances that were just so so important.
He
It,
was, well, he was universal. I mean, he did a lot of movies, and a lot of movies for a man as young as he was, for
Right.
bigger roles. And I mean, again, that says so much about how good he was. But he had appearances in Fringe, a
Oh,
cult
neat.
classic. He had appearances in Justified, a cult classic, and he did, fun. He had fun roles. Me and Ryan, both saw him in Draft Day. We actually went to the theater to see Draft Day, and we didn't know him at the time, but that's one of those movies I look back on and I go, oh my gosh, that was him. And then you
yeah.
start to make those connections, and I know I'm going to make a point, because again, towards the end, he had been tweeting about it. I'm going to make a point and watch Da Five Bloods,
It's a good
streaming
movie.
now.
I've heard good things.
You've
Betsy
seen it,
just
Ryan?
watched it.
Yep.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I pretty much I appreciate everything Spike Lee does. I don't love all of his movies,
Right.
and this wasn't one of my favorite of his movies, but it was definitely worth watching. I thought
Yep.
it was a well done, and Chadwick is great in it. He's plays typical Chadwick Boseman character,
Yeah. Well, and
which
that
is
says
very like Christ-like.
well, and like you said, a movie doesn't have to be an absolute great movie or something that's going to, get nominated for tons of awards to be a worth watching movie, especially in this situation where it has a great actor, that these are
And a great director.
artists, and a great director, but you want to consume. Go ahead.
And both people of color, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think it's right now
Yeah.
more than ever, like, it's important to try to like consume as much content as possible from other viewpoints.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. And this movie, I know, does tell a good story, or an important story, and like you said, it's important to consume those things, because we are finally getting to a point where those types of media and pop culture items are more available, or without limits, whereas before, yes, you had people in television shows of color, or television shows about people of color, but they were very restricted to a certain viewpoint, and not given the freedom that they should have been. So now that we're finally getting to that point where they have those freedom, it is important that we take those things in and recognize the artistic value in them. So
Absolutely.
yeah, great.
One other thing I wanted to say that I just was just kind of thinking about as we started talking about this. Our friends over at Pajiba, which is a great
Awesome site.
Yeah.
For, news and pop culture website.
somebody posted a meme, I guess, over there is the best way to put it, saying like, if you had to pick one actor, 4 different characters from one actor to like put together a team, who would you pick? And they put Samuel L. Jackson, like Jules from Pulp Fiction, Nick Fury,
Shaft.
Frozone.
Frozone.
And I don't remember who else, but it was like, oh yeah, that's a kick-ass team, And some other people were throwing some stuff out, and I forgot who else, but it just kind of dawned on me, like, Chadwick Boseman is the answer to that question, I think. Those four we talked about. But yeah, it's obviously it's a huge tragedy, and it's shocking, and I didn't even know that he had cancer.
Yep.
No, he didn't. I don't think.
Yeah.
Yeah, most people.
And
did.
that's and that's okay too. A lot has been made of that. It's everybody's private right, and a lot has been made of, oh well, this is about awareness, and everybody should go out and get tested, and blah blah blah, and not everybody has that luxury. And again, that's just another reason why we need to just be good to each other, take care of each other and be respectful of each other. So, yeah,
Well,
a
one
big
other
tragedy.
one other thing I saw is his last tweet. He was a alum of Howard, and he tweeted like congrats to Kamala for being chosen as the potential vice president, or the vice
For the
president
ticket.
nominee,
Yeah.
and that go out and make your voice heard or whatever. Go out, get out and vote, which I think is appropriate as well. And yes, please, Kamala, yay.
Indeed.
Yeah.
No, yeah. Definitely. And like he said, and like, Chadwick said, get out and vote. That's important, making your voice heard. And again, a tragedy. So check out some of his movies. Check out some other great black actors. Keep that going. That's an important thing. And actresses. I apologize. To me, actors are both male and female.
I think you can say that.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yep, that's
the proper way to say it. But that's gonna kind of wrap it up for our Questos and Recos episode. We're getting into the second round of the one hit wonders. It's been interesting so far to see a few close matchups, not too many, but some upsets. Definitely. But that continues this week. And like Ryan said, we got that spooky new tournament coming up in October. So a lot of fun on the horizon. Just like to remind everybody that today's episode is sponsored by Getting Caught in the Curtains. For pets and their owners, it's the great equalizer. Other than that, I think that about does it for this week. Hope everybody has a good time. We'll see
Be
y'all
excellent
later.
to each other.
Yeah, bye.